How's it going, everyone? It's Corbin, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to import a model so that it functions exactly like an original model and tag in the game. What this will allow you to do is add on to the model, modify the model, and just outright replace the model eventually if that's what you want to do. So there's two ways to do this for this video. To import a model into Blender, you're going to either use Reclaimer or Foundry. Now, first I'm going to go over Reclaimer because that is the more traditional method. And you can also extract models from any game, and it's just very useful as well. They're also adding support in the future for Halo Infinite. Now, to download Reclaimer, you're going to go to the link in the description to this GitHub for Gravemind2401. He is the creator of Reclaimer. You're going to go to your releases. Now, you'll have the option for the beta or the latest stable build. Either one's fine. I'm just going to install the latest, which is this one right here, the MSI file option. Will install it. You can tell it to keep it just in case it thinks it's a virus or something. It is not. You can tell it to keep anyway. Now open file. You're going to click next. Now you can install this wherever you like, but I'm going to just install this in the default location. You're going to click install. It's going to go through and that'll be it. Next, you're going to want to go to this page called haloce3.com. Now, this is just a convenient place to download all of your map files for any Halo game on the 360. These are the original map files that you will be using to extract the original assets from the Halo game. Now, what you're going to need for this video specifically is to go down to Halo 4, and you're going to need to download the shared map and the campaign map. You're just going to tell it to keep those, since they're just map files, there's nothing wrong with those. And then you're going to want to download a map that has an object that you want to extract. So I'm going to extract a grunt, so the first mission in the game has a grunt. So I'm going to download the first mission level in single player. But once that's downloaded, you're going to want to extract all of these into one single folder. Okay, so once that's all extracted to one single folder, you're going to want to open up Reclaimer. Now, you'll see Reclaimer in your most recently installed applications where I just opened it, or if you already had it installed, you know where it's at. So click File, Open Map, go down to M10 Crash, which is the map that I just downloaded, and I extracted again the campaign map and the shared map into one folder, as well as the other map files. You'll see other maps in here because I already had them in here as I've been using this for a while. You can keep this temporarily, as in I named mine Halo 4 map temp, or you can just, keep it on there forever if you're going to be using this a lot. Now I'm going to be extracting the grunt, so I'm going to type grunt, as that is in the name of the tag. Go to render model for the grunt, double click on it. You'll see a little preview. It has very similar controls to Sapien. You can make sure the object you're extracting is exactly what you want. Now, once that happens, you're going to click this little save icon up here. It's going to say stormgrunt.amf. It does not, make sure it's AMF. Now, extract that to wherever you need to. I'm doing it in the same folder. I extract all my temporary files. You're gonna just add that in there. I already had it, so I'm gonna replace it. Now what you can do is go down to Blender. Now this is a fresh page for Blender. I'm gonna just delete everything in here. I'm gonna open up this little side thing and go down to Foundry. Now you're gonna see new asset model. Model's fine because that is what it will be. Click new asset. You're gonna want to put it wherever you store all your new assets. Under data, I personally go in Unseen Halo, but for the tutorial series, I will be doing all my objects in here. I like to keep things organized, so I created a folder for objects, characters, and then this will be the new Storm Grunt. If you're doing something else, you can always just add a folder and be like, new object, for modding. But it doesn't matter, or just gun, whatever gun it is, but just keep things organized in a way, and that should be fine. But luckily, I already have a folder for Storm Grunt New, and I'm gonna name it the exact same thing, Storm Grunt New. So you don't need to click scenery or anything like this if you're just replacing a render model, but it is useful if you want to generate new tags. You can also like generate new tags based off existing tags, but that's for another video. So once you create your new asset, you're gonna go through here and just see everything's very default and blank. Now you're gonna want to import a model. So go down to this little tools icon and then click import models and animations. For Halo 4 and Halo 2A and even Halo Reach, you'll import AMFs. Now I'm going to go to the location that I saved that, which is Halo 4 map temp, and then it's going to be Storm Grunt. Now you can import other models from other games like Halo Reach Grunt, but this is the Halo 4 grunt that I'm just simply replacing. A command prompt window will open and show you what it's doing. If you do not see this, it will always be attached on the side right here. Now, if you zoom in, you'll notice your grunt is here, and it should be set up correctly. Now, just kind of click on it. It takes a second to get things going, and you'll notice everything's here. In your object properties, you got your armor pack and your permutations set up. Every object in here should be set up very similar and set up correctly. All your materials will be set up and even linked to the materials in your Halo mod tools and your tags so that it will function and appear correctly when you import it and export it, I mean. Now going down, we don't have animation set up. That might be something he automatically does in the future, but right now those do not. Do at least AMFs. As well as the Foundry import, but that will be something I show you next. Going up, you can see the sets manager and everything else looking good. Now, one other thing is if you go over to your viewport shading, it will show you that it even set up the materials as best as it could to match the Halo 4 materials. And the only other thing you're going to want to do before exporting this into the game asset editor, you're going to go to your animation graph. Now, just to keep your bones for your model in order, you're going to actually tell it to use the parent graph from, or the actual animation graph from the grunt. Now, to find this, open up Foundation, go to Objects, Characters, Storm Grunt, and then you'll see your Storm Grunt animation graph. You're going to right click and click Copy Paths. Click it and paste it as your template. Now, right here, you can either keep it on quick export or you can take that off, which I do just to make sure I'm doing everything I need. I'm not going to bother importing my collision or physics for this video, and everything else should be fine. Just click Export Asset, and then you'll see this little window doing work down here. Once that's done, you can go into Foundation and then actually add your asset. So first of all, what I want to do is bring this into Sapien as well, just so we can view it in live form. So open up Sapien, then you're going to want to go down to your scenarios. Oops. And by the way, your tag's still going. If it stops, press enter again and it'll keep going. It's just creating the files and everything it needs to do this. Now, while that's going on in the background, I'm just going to go to Scenario, Units, Bipeds, and then you can click anywhere that has collision and add a biped. Now, if you don't have any bipeds in here, you're going to want to add them. So go into where everything's stored, your objects, characters, Storm Grunt, just in case you forgot, and then click Storm Grunt Biped, double click it, it should be down here, and then click Done. You're just going to add that Storm Grunt in here. Oops. Click on, whichever one is loaded in here, and then tell it to be Storm Grunt. Now, just to make sure we're using the miner, I'm just going to make sure it says miner down here. Right now it's just a default version since it isn't a active variant, but as you can see, there is now a minor grunt standing right here. Now our import should be done by now. It usually doesn't take very long, but sometimes on the first time it will lag a little bit. But as you can see, if it's imported correctly, it'll say import finished successfully with 0 errors. Sorry. And you'll see something that looks just like this every time it imports pretty much fine. But let's go into Foundation. We have the normal Storm Grunt still. So right now we have just the default Storm Grunt standing right here with no changes. Now we're going to bring in the new tag we just imported. This is in tutorials, objects, characters, Storm Grunt new, and it'll create another folder for you if you don't tell it to write in the same directory, which is fine. And here we go, Storm Grunt new. As you can see, I'm changing the render model with the old one, and then I'm clicking Control S to save it. Or you can go to File, Save. You'll see the model in the Sapien window kind of twitch. That means it did change it. And if everything's working correctly, it should look identical. And that means you re-imported a model into the game, and it's functioning exactly as it should. Now, before we get any further, we're going to actually import it the same way through Foundry. This is just an alternative method, all right? So you do not need to do this again. It's just you either do it with Reclaimer or Foundry. So we're going to go back. I'm going to add the default grunt back just so we can do this over again from scratch real quick. So go to Tags, Objects, Characters, Storm Grunt. There it is. Storm Grunt Render Model. Control Save. Bam. So now what we have here is a default Storm Grunt model tag. We're going to go and open up the biped tag. You'll see the biped's just your normal Storm Grunt model. Now if you want to import any model in the game, you're going to find the grunt model, alright, which is easiest to either do from here or just opening your biped and finding it there. You're going to simply click on it and drag and drop it. Foundry, thanks to Crisp, has the amazing ability to import stuff by simply dragging and dropping the model. What this will do is import not just your render model, but as you can see, it's even importing your markers in a unique folder, as well as your collision. But for this video, I'm going to take off that as well as the physics model. Now, what's good about that is if you do replace this model with another one, you can update your collision and physics easily now to fit your new model. But luckily, this video will not be covering that, as it will take more time, and this is already enough time for one short video. It's supposed to be short. These tutorials could be very long if they need it to be, but I'm trying to just be very simple and to the point of what the video is supposed to cover. So as you can see, we got a Storm Grunt, and it's looking about the same as the AMF import. So what we can do is just export this, and then again, export asset. Over here, the reason why I do not do a quick export is because it's just good to be able to only export what you need. You're always going to need markers and a render model and a skeleton, or at least the markers and render model, as the render model holds the markers anyways. But yes, export the asset. You're going to see the window, and going through this version, it does take a lot, or it's a lot faster. As you can see, it's already done. Now, what's great is if we go back into Sapien, back into Foundation, and then go back into your model. Now, this is the default Storm Grunt. We're going to change it back to the version that we just created. So, Tutorials, Objects, Characters. Storm Grunt, new. Storm Grunt, new. Storm Grunt model, we'll know that this is the most recent one because it'll be updated through the time, which that time was correct based off this video's creation. And you're going to click Control Save. You'll see it twitch, maybe throw some errors, but everything should be functioning correctly. Now, as you can see, we didn't have a marker get exported correctly. So to fix that, we can go back and make sure your markers folder is open. You see how it was hidden? Now, if it's hidden like that, it will not export. So I guess that's good just in case you run into that issue. But if your markers aren't set up correctly, this will happen. So as you can see, everything is working functioning as it should be. And that's pretty much it for this video. But I'm gonna keep going just for one step further, so it didn't seem kind of redundant, like what's the point of just putting the same thing in here. But I'm going to show you the purpose of this real quick. So now that we have this amazing storm grunt, what we can do is go into a file, like I downloaded the Halo 2A profits from the Halo archive. This is an amazing Discord. I highly recommend you joining it if you have not already. You can download almost anything from any Halo, and they have stuff rigged and set up for you and all sorts of cool stuff. So I highly recommend that. The link will be in the description as well. Now, here we have our prophet, and what we're going to do is still his little crown, so we can kind of make a little Yap Yap, the Destroyer kind of variant. Now, just click on the crown, and then control and click on the rig. This will allow you to export just the crown and the rig, but while also keeping the bones and everything else that might be important, all the data associated with that model. So click export, FBX. It's going to say profits, go to desktop. Now you're going to want to click limit to selected objects. That way it only does the crown and not the whole file. So that will be good. Now you can go to your grunt, click file, and I'm going to make sure it's not in a folder when I import this by unclicking everything, and clicking import, FBX, desktop is where I stored it, profit, import. It's going to be bigger or differently sized, or unless it's already set up to scale the same exact way. So what you can do is just take this. See, where did it get stored at? Alright, so we have our truth rig right here. We're going to take this and drag it to the storm grunt rig, right? You're going to click Control to parent, Shift to link, and Alt to keep your transforms. Once it is not attached to your truth rig, you can right click and click Delete Hierarchy, and that will just make that go away, and it's not needed for this. Now what you can do is scale this down by typing or clicking on S on your keyboard. It'll activate scaling, make it small enough. Now we're going to want to move this closer to the grunt so we can place it on his head, as well as make sure it's at the right scale in general. Seems to be pretty good. As you can see, maybe a little bit smaller. There we go. All right. Now, what we can do is go find there's a lot of variants loaded right here, right? So what we can do is briefly hide the markers just because it's just easy to navigate without them, That's why you might hide them sometimes. And just click on your head of the grunt. Also, whenever you re-imported this from Foundry, make sure your animation graph is still in here. I might have missed that earlier, but just make sure that animation graph template is there so that it exports and animates correctly. But so we're going to just make sure this crown does that same thing, that it's attached to your head and animates with the head. So what we'll do is click on some part of your head, just literally any part. If you'll notice your head is usually attached to your armor packs. So go and click edit, or tab, it goes into edit mode. Then you're going to go down to your vertex data. You're going to go into your vertex groups. You're going to see helmet. You'll see that this is the actual node. and vertex group for helmet, right? So you're going to copy this. You're going to click on this and add a vertex group. Name it helmet. Click tab. It'll highlight everything. And while it's all highlighted, click assign. Now this is still on the Storm Grunt, but what you're going to want to do to make this actually appear in the game is go into your region and do exactly like your other helmets and everything are. So they're all attached to armor packs. I'm going to Alt hide to reveal everything. I'm going to click on the armor pack for Miner. And then what I'm going to do is see the properties for it. Region, it's in the armor pack permutation Miner. So click on your crown, region, armor pack. Permutation, Miner. All right, so now your crown will actually import with that model variant. So just click export, export asset. And if we have a Storm Grunt Miner over here, which we do, as you can see right here, it will re-import it with the crown. As you can tell, oops, I just ran away at the last second, but you saw it, right? It is now a Grunt Miner with a crown. So that is how you can not just re-import the same model or the same, tag, but also add on to it. And as you can see, the markers are broken. Again, if you have that issue, just make sure that they're actually visible when you export it. Otherwise, it will not function properly. And that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I will show you guys not just how to add onto existing models, but also how to add new textures so that new models like this crown has proper textures and has them set up in a way that looks good in Halo 4. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. I tried to be as thorough as possible, and I hope this didn't take too long, but I hope, sometimes Halo modding isn't just hard, it takes a long time. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it useful. I will see you guys on the next one. It's Corbin. Peace out.